We have looked at Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Black Ops, and Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And I've been patient to talk about this Call of Duty game, my favorite Call of Duty game, Call of Duty World at War. Call of Duty World War II may be the Call of Duty game at the moment, but let's look back at the much better World War II Call of Duty game. What was so special about World at War, and how does this game hold up in 2018? Let's get into it. In a way, Call of Duty World at War was in a very unique state when it released. Call of Duty 4 had just blown up the year before, and the Call of Duty franchise was revived in a way that it had never seen before. And with a short 2-year development cycle, and this game taking a lot of the engines and workings from Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, there wasn't a lot of time to make something fresh and new, especially since Modern Warfare 2 would be coming out the following year. And even though this game would be riding on Call of Duty 4's coattails, this game that was just a reskin of the Call of Duty 4 engine that had little to no work done on the engine actually worked out really well. And even by 2018 standards, this game still looks really great. Sure, the Xbox and PS3 versions of the game look a little grainy at times if you're playing on a 4K television, but they still hold up really well, and the PC looks nice and crisp even now. The Call of Duty World at War campaign follows two factions just as older World War II Call of Duty games did, but this time it really focuses on the storytelling side of things much more than just the simple running and gunning. There are some really awesome documentary style cutscenes that explain the war in both the Pacific Theater and the European front. That really gives some detailed insight to what is happening in the political world at the time and the conditions of the war. It's a really cool perspective, and then of course we get back to our basic running and gunning levels that are throughout the campaign. But even with that, there's enough standout missions for me to really appreciate the uniqueness and general epicness of the campaign. And while the overall structure of the campaign is pretty generic for a Call of Duty game, the game does an outstanding job at building up atmosphere, especially in the European side of the story. Unfortunately, the Pacific Theater definitely has a weaker story overall, with the exception of Black Cats, but it was the first time a Call of Duty game went to Japan during World War II, and I can appreciate that. Especially since the other half of the story is just so good and it holds up really well today. It might not be the greatest Call of Duty campaign of all time, but it's pretty damn good. And it was also co-op, which was something we had never seen in a Call of Duty campaign before. Unfortunately, some of the campaign levels, some of the greatest campaign levels that are offered in World at War are cut from the co-op. So you can play the run and gun levels with your friends, but the fun, awesome, cool levels aren't in it. The multiplayer in this game really hooked me back in the day, and I think there are several things that contribute to it. To date, I would safely argue that this is one of the more balanced Call of Duty games. Sure, a few things are OP, like the MP40 with Juggernaut and dual magazines, and noob tubing can be annoying, but overall, you can pick any gun in this game and do well with it, which to me is what matters more than what is killing me. And the gun selection heavily decides how you play too, which is cool. Snipers and bolt-action rifles have players moving slower, keeping distance. Machine guns are great for holding down points, or, like most players, they choose a faster moving submachine gun or a semi-automatic rifle, and it's crazy and fun at the same time. I spent a lot of time on this review debating if this game was truly great because of the guns or the level design. The levels are fantastically made here, and I would argue that this game is tied for the best level design with Modern Warfare 2, maybe even a few bonus points to World at War because of the soundscape used in the level is really good at building up atmosphere, especially by 2008 standards. Honestly, there isn't one bad map in this game, and glory to the days where some of the maps were absolutely huge. The biggest reason I don't think World at War 2 even stands a chance to World at War is because the levels in World War 2 are almost identical. They're small, tight-cornered maps, where World at War has maps like that, but also has some pretty big distance maps, which gives something for everyone. And there's little nooks and crannies all throughout every type of map that just gives a small-scale sense of exploration, which is pretty cool, and makes games like Michael Myers, played in private matches, hauntingly fun to play. I spent so much time playing Search and Destroy here, and it was honestly extremely addicting. It was like a World War II themed Rainbow Six Siege, but in 2008 before Rainbow Six Siege was a popular competitive game, and it was awesome. War was another game type that was fast paced and exhilarating. Gaining momentum and taking points felt good, or struggling to lose points. It was a really unique game type that hadn't been seen before in the Call of Duty series. And the gameplay and the level design worked so well that this game type worked, but at the same time, when they tried to bring the game type back for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, it flopped because it just didn't have the same type of craftsmanship into the level design and the gameplay that World at War had. Unfortunately for Xbox One, the servers aren't as populated as they once were, but you can still find games on TDM, which is pretty nice. World at War on the PC isn't the greatest either because there aren't a whole lot of servers still active due to the server browser being the main function, and custom zombies might make it worth the pickup on the PC, but we'll get to zombies in a second. Finally, the PS3 is by far the hardest one to find games on, but if you're patient, you should be able to get into a TDM. If you're looking for multiplayer as your core focus though, the Xbox is your best bet. It's backwards compatible, so there still is some active player base there. And we of course haven't forgotten about zombie mode. And mind you, this was the first Call of Duty game to introduce zombie mode. And I remember playing this for the first time and being so stressed out to the point where I downed myself for it to all be over. I just couldn't deal with it. Nach der Untoten, sorry Luke, my German sucks, was the first map that came with World at War. Once I got a group together, surviving became a really fun challenge. Working together to hold angles and keeping certain doors shut made World at War Zombies an instant classic, just like the movie Evan Almighty or High School Musical. Sure, the zombie mechanics weren't fully refined in World at War, making it easy to get double hit by a zombie and get downed, but hey, this launched with the game and it became a huge staple in the Call of Duty series later. Also, there's DLC in the game. The DLC is free on the PC, which is nice. Also, there are a ton of custom zombie game types on there, which is really cool if you want unique experience or some really ridiculous skin. But it's about $10 per pop on the Xbox and PS3, and I kinda want to recommend them for this Call of Duty. Normally I don't recommend downloading the DLC for Call of Duty games, but if you're looking to literally put a lot of time into World at War, I think you could get your value out of the DLC. And of course, the 3 DLC zombie maps were absolutely fantastic maps, and some of the best in the whole franchise. They've been remade in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3, but there's something special about getting the original World at War Wunderwaffe. Sorry Luke, I know my German sucks. Or the ray gun, MG42, flamethrower, Browning, and even the PTRS was a killing machine. The zombie maps are really fun to play, and you will probably get your value out of the zombie mode alone, especially if you have good friends to play with. You might not find a game by yourself, but get some buddies to even do it split screen with you and you'll have a good time. The multiplayer actually doesn't segregate players based off of their DLC either, so if you don't have the 3 DLC packs, sometimes you'll actually get kicked from a game lobby for not having a map. So at least if you buy the DLC, you'll get to play on all the maps, and the levels are really cool. This is of course my favorite Call of Duty game, and it's hard not to look at this through rose-tinted glasses, but I'll do the best I can for rating this game. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Xbox One version of this game an 8.5 out of 10. The multiplayer is active enough where you can find games in multiplayer, Zombies is very true to its form, and the campaign is still excellent. The PC version of this game is actually going to see a little dip. It's going to get a 7.5 out of 10 because the multiplayer isn't as intact as I would like, but the custom zombie modes make up for it. And unfortunately, the PS3 version is going to get the lowest score with a 6.5 out of 10 just because it's so inactive. It's hard to find games in anything, and there isn't really a whole lot of value in not getting to play the multiplayer. If this was 2008, I would have given this game a fantastic review though. But that's my review, guys. Let me know what you think. We've covered several Call of Duty games so far. Which Call of Duty game would you like for us to do next? We're kind of at crossroads where we can go back and do Call of Duty 4, 3, 2, and the original, or we can go forward and do Call of Duty Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and so on and so forth. So let us know in the comment section down below. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe for more content like this. We do a ton of old game reviews from the era of like 2006 to 2013. So if you're we're an Xbox player during those years, maybe stick around and check out what we have made so far. We'll catch you guys next time with a new video.